Hi everybody, it's Kemi from Kemi Kai Inner Beauty, and I like to talk about law of assumption and inner work because we can heal and improve what's going on out there by healing and improving what's going on in here. And that's what I'm all about. That's what this channel's all about, and I'd love to talk to you more about it in all the videos that I'm creating in my little library here to support you in your journey as you learn to work with the practice of law of assumption and also to do your inner work. So happy to be creating a community here. Always, you are welcome to free to pop your questions in the comment section below. And if you have a question that I could make a video on to dive in deeper that will benefit a lot of other people, then I'd love to see your comments down there and we can work on that together too. So let's get started. Today I want to talk about the twin flame journey and TikTok tarot. So I just want to kind of touch on this for people who are on the journey where you've been led to the law of assumption because you had a relationship that went into like a darker place, like you were dating someone and it broke off, or you just got started with really strong and then it kind of went into this painful place, and it's a pattern that you've experienced over and over and over and over again, and you're like, oh no, like the last 3 people I've dated, I've experienced this pattern. Like, this is so painful. Like, there's so much pain inside me. This is the same pain. I've experienced it before with these other people. Like, it's the same dynamic. It's like different faces, different people, but the same relationship over and over, the same pattern over and over, and you don't know how to get free of it. And it's been so painful for you that it's driven you online searching for what can help you. And maybe you've been watching a lot of TikToks and watching a lot of online tarot readings, and you've encountered the whole twin flame story and how you could have this journey with another person where your souls are, that somebody in your soul family that you have both incarnated at this time, and you have like some kind of a soul contract where you agreed to meet up at some point and kind of like spark each other off to wake up and do your work and do your kind of healing work and come back into wholeness and unity within yourself. And then the twin flame journey itself can be a very complicated and confusing side of TikTok, and arguably can lead some people into not great directions. And I would just want to offer support for people who've come to law of assumption through that, because I think that it can be a trap. It can be a bit of a trap. Like, you can end up spending a lot of time watching tarot readings and pining. And that's a very painful place to be stuck in, and it can go on for a really long time. And there's stories of people who have spent years and years and years and years in separation from someone and pining for them. And we don't want you to be suffering like that and stuck. So let's talk about it. So essentially, if you're in a situation that you identify as like this twin flame, then basically what's happening for you is that you are experiencing a situation where one person is the runner, the other person is the chaser. You could say it looks like what is popular in kind of American pop psychology right now is to talk about like the anxious avoidant trap, where one person feels very anxious and very needy, like needing validation and needing reassurance. And the other person is really repelled by that, and they're running away from you. And the more they run, the more needy and anxious you feel, and the more pain you feel, and the more that you reach out and try to connect and try to get the validation that you need to soothe yourself, the more it pushes them away and the more they run and avoid you. And this can lead to people blocking you, and it can just be really painful, right? Really, like, super emotionally painful. And if you have had like a childhood trauma where you had a parent, like parents divorced or a parent that left you, it can trigger the re-experiencing of that old wound. and that can like pop wide open, and suddenly you're having like a total, depression, where you're like experiencing all the pain that you felt when you were a child, when you lost your parent or your parents divorced or whatever, and you felt abandoned. And now this person in your life that you were dating for who knows how long is now causing you to feel all that same like pain and longing and unmet longing, unrequited love, all this kind of stuff. Unrequited love, pining, rejection wounds, like it's very deep, right? And it's extremely painful because these wounds are very, very painful. Rejection wounds, abandonment wounds, they're deep, deep wounds, and they're extremely complex and they're extremely painful. And if you have gone through this, you'll understand everybody else that's going through this or has been on this journey. And if you haven't gone through it, those people are really not going to get it. So you won't be able to talk to them about it or get any sympathy or kindness or compassion on your journey there. But let's talk about it, because I feel that this community of people needs a lot of support. And I personally have gone through this. And so I feel that I can really offer support to other people because I know exactly what this is like. And it was a very painful time in my past. And I have great sympathy for anybody else that's kind of working to heal these deep, deep core wounds. So let's talk about it. And I will make other videos on it. I'll make videos specifically on like the abandonment wound and the rejection wound. And if you have anything that you want to dive deeper into, you can drop it in the comments and I can make a video that explores that more deeply, that will help more people. So you're always welcome to drop something in the comments for me to make a video that goes deeper into some aspect of this topic that we're discussing. So let me just start out this video. There will be more videos on this. Okay, let me say in this video that it's very important for you to be very mindful of what kind of content you're consuming on social media, especially if you're an avid TikTok viewer. If you're on TikTok for like hours a day, every day, you need to be very disciplined and mindful of what you're consuming on TikTok. And I want to just put this out there for you. The law of assumption says that whatever is going on out there is a mirror that's showing you something inside yourself that is not processed and not healed. And the law of assumption says that in order to have and achieve and attain the harmonious, loving, reciprocal relationship that you so deeply want to experience, you need to somehow create that inside yourself in order for it to be mirroring back to you out there. Now that can be so triggering because it sounds like, how are you going to do that? I mean, if you're struggling with this crazy, like heartbreaking abandonment wound, these deep rejection wounds, these incredibly deep wounds that go right down into the core of your body. You can literally feel like visceral physical experiences in your body, like sensations in your body. That's how painful, emotionally painful these wounds are, that you will feel things like in your diaphragm, in your stomach, in your chest, in your throat. Like you will feel sensations there. That's how painful these emotional wounds can be, right? For somebody to say to you, well, you gotta love yourself before you can experience love out there, right? It's like the last thing that you want to hear. Or, the twin flame, this was particularly painful for me, I remember. The twin flame journey isn't about reunion. It's not about like coming together with your special person. It's about finding union within yourself. You just hate these kinds of messages, right? And the reason is not because those messages aren't true. They are true. But nobody's explaining how to get there. Like, nobody's talking about it. I'm sorry. I was like on that journey too. And I was suffering so much. And all I could do was watch TikToks and just try to fantasize about, how it might be to come into union or to feel loved. But I didn't know how to get there. And I just want to say that you need to take care of yourself, and one of the ways you need to take care of yourself is to be very careful what you're consuming online and what narratives you're bringing in and eating. So if you're scrolling and the algorithm is popping up tarot reading after tarot reading after tarot reading because it now knows that you love watching tarot and it's feeding you with a bazillion tarot readings a day, don't fall into the trap of thinking, oh, it's on my FYP, it must be for me. Especially because I have watched hundreds, if not thousands, of those tarot readings, and they spin narratives of all kinds. Oh, your person has a third party. They have addictions. They have a sex addiction. They're confused about their gender. They have financial troubles. Oh, they're involved with someone at work. Oh, they got someone pregnant. They went back to an ex. Like, you recognize any of these stories, right? Because they're all on there. And essentially what you do is you're in a state of pain, and you need like validation and confirmation and like soothing. You need soothing. You're reaching outside of yourself for some like nervous system regulation and some self-soothing, and you're not getting it from the person you want it from, right? So you open up TikTok and you start scrolling and you see all these narratives and you start being like, well, that one sounds that must be my story because that resonates with me and how I'm feeling right now. But you're feeling like shit. You can't decide that narrative is your story because it resonates with you when you're under the influence of old trauma wounds and emotional content that you haven't processed. And I'll get into shadow work more in other detail, but I gotta tell you that that's where the negative energy and the entities and all that kind of conversation comes in, is when you've got this really low vibration, painful, emotional content wrapped up in little membranes down in your psyche that's unprocessed, and you've got that part of you vibrating at a very low level. That's the stuff that's attracting all of the negative people, the negative experiences, the negative stuff, everything's entities, whatever you want, however you want to visualize this stuff. That's where those things will get in or attach or be like, have access to you. And because negative energies can get at you, like magnetized towards the negative content that you've got suppressed inside you that hasn't been processed, that comes along with a lot of negative thinking, right? Comes in with all these negative thoughts about yourself, low self-worth, low self-esteem, blaming yourself for the losses that you had as a child, and then now like re-experiencing it and blaming yourself like crazy, like, I can't get this right, there's something wrong with me, I'm broken, blah, blah, blah. Like, we have all these narratives going on. It is a mistake to open up TikTok and start pulling narratives in and eating those and being like, I'm going to make that a part of myself. I'm going to make that a part of my story. I'm going to take that as truth for me. That is just a trap. And I just want to tell you not to go there. Discipline yourself about that. Be very discerning about that. Law of assumption, self-work, in response to this whole mess that I'm talking about right here that I've just kind of laid out for you. The law of assumption, self-work, it's called self-concept work. And what you do is you begin to go inside yourself and really get clear on what your self-concept is. How do you see yourself? And you go into those really negative parts. You go into the really painful stuff, like, I see myself as broken. I see myself as rejected. everybody abandons me, everybody rejects me, this happens to me over and over, I'm never chosen, I'm not worth having the kind of relationship I want, I can't even fantasize about that because I don't really feel like it's possible for me. That is the content that it's so painful, but you have to go into it, right? It's like a wound. You've got this like nasty wound on your leg and you haven't been looking at it for 3 years, and it's got a staph infection and it's all red and ugly and there's pus. Like, in order to clean that up, you gotta look at it, you gotta see that it's there, you gotta cut away all the dead old gross skin, you gotta pour iodine or alcohol or some kind of antiseptic, antibacterial, whatever, to kill the bacterial growth. You've got to clean it out. You've got to clear away the pus. You've got to sew it up with stitches. Like, it's a process. So during the time that you're doing the law of attraction or law of assumption work, this self-concept work, you have to be very diligent with yourself to not be pulling in narratives on Tarot Talk that are going to work against you, that are going to feed the negative fears and doubts and bad self-concept that you have, that you're trying to work to clean up. It's really important. And I'm not saying that all tarot readers on TikTok are like bad people or that they're, spinning bad stories for you. But some of them, those stories aren't helpful, right? We don't even have any way of verifying if that's true. The person who's not talking to you, who's avoiding you, who's blocked you, the reality is they probably couldn't deal with you, like how you were coming off, because you think you're normal, right? But other people, especially if you're a significant person, which is usually true, is a very sensitive person. They're a psychic person. They're a sensitive person. A lot of times we think that men aren't sensitive or psychic. That's not true. There are a lot of little boys who were born crazy psychic, and they got traumatized like crazy by their moms, like overwhelming them with their emotional content before they even got the chance to learn how to, self-regulate at all. They had nobody doing that for them. And they get older and they just get blasted by their female dates and vented on constantly and totally flooded, and then, raged on for being an avoidant. So you need to pull yourself back and discipline yourself and not be raging on anybody, right? And recognizing that you are a rager, okay? Because most anxious people are ragers. You're not innocent. You're not the victim of a horrible avoidant narcissist. You're probably raging on people when you don't get what you want from them and when they don't conform to what you want them to do for you, right? You probably need, people please. And then when they don't give you what you want, you lash out, right? And then you got to backpedal to try to apologize and like get them unblocked or whatever, right? I know all about it. So it's a discipline, okay? It's a discipline, and this channel is here for your support and for community and for, when you're in a weak, vulnerable place and you need support, you can find videos that speak to you and play them on repeat. And I know I did that as well with content creators that really supported me. So there is a pathway out of this, and there is a way to heal it, and there absolutely is a way to change your experience. And the law of assumption is a very powerful tool. It's a very, very powerful tool. And the shadow work going together with the law of assumption is the inner work that cleans up the mess so that you aren't just saying affirmations on top of all the old garbage, because that won't work. Law of assumption is not about just robotically repeating affirmations that you don't even believe in, that you don't even feel are real, because what you're manifesting out there is your deepest self-talk, your core beliefs about who you are and what you deserve and what you're capable of and what the world is capable of giving you and what you're capable of receiving. And if that is a mess, if that's a garbage heap of old unprocessed emotional content from traumas from before the age of 7, good luck with your robotic affirmations. I'm sorry, but you're not going to see a lot of results, and you're going to have a lot of trouble with wavering and going back and forth between, I don't really believe this, I'm a victim of my reality. Oh yeah, I'm a creator, I can do this, I'm positive. Oh, it's not working and nothing's going my way and it's not showing me what I want. Oh yeah, I can do it. And you're just like going back and forth. Like, if you can see that character in a movie who's like jumping timeline and then falling back to the old one, and then jumping a timeline to a better thing and then falling back to the old one, like, you don't want to waver, right? You don't want to get in that zone. What you need to do is commit to the inner work, commit to the soul work, commit to the shadow work, and put the time in and clean up that stuff and be respectful to your SP and give them space and do your work and give them respect. And it's not about them. I mean, it's about them in the most miraculous way, that they triggered you onto the most powerful journey of your life, which you need to now do the work. And you're not going to come into union with them, which means experiencing love on the other side of this darkness that you've been triggered into, this awakening process, right? Where you have to actually face your dark content and like clean it up. You're not going to come out of that and experience the loving, harmonious relationship that you want to experience with them or anybody else until you've been able to clean up all your garbage mess in here and actually feel that for the parts of you that you have cut off, neglected, and abandoned. That is what the twin flame journey is about. And I will tell you, as somebody who's gone through this work I started this work, not the twin flame journey, but like this work probably 25 years ago. So I have a lot of personal experience doing it. And I can tell you, I don't believe there's one twin flame. I don't believe that narrative at all. Because I had repetitive cycles of relationships that were stuck in those horrible patterns, many of them. And I don't believe that every single one of those people was my twin flame. No. The twin flame journey, it's like a program you signed up, like when you went into the hologram journey of incarnating into humanity, and they were like, what do you want to experience? You were like, I think I want this. You went and checked off all the boxes, and one of them was the twin flame awakening. So here you are. Right? It doesn't mean that there's one twin flame. It means you signed up for the twin flame journey. You signed up for the core abandonment wound. You signed up for getting to know yourself through trauma and having to reclaim yourself from trauma. You signed up for that. So let's do the work. That's what it means. And on the other side, not only will you experience a great relationship with someone that you love that's reciprocal, you will have gone through this incredible transformation where you reclaim all the fragmented off parts of yourself from different ages that got cut off from all these different traumatic experiences that you had. And you'll reclaim all of your own energy from those little capsules. They're like, each one of those fragmented little things, it's like a capsule, okay? And it contains all of the crappy, horrible, overwhelming emotions you felt in that moment that you couldn't process. And a piece of yourself at that age, which you've been living without because you haven't had access to it. So you probably have been like a little bit less than all of you. You could be numb, you could be dissociative, you could be not in touch with your feelings, you could be kind of out of your body, you could be like unable to orgasm. You know, people have all these like experiences in their life that are off because they've got like parts of them that are kind of cut off, that they're not living from their whole self. So as you go through the work of like piercing the membrane, pulling that open, being willing to feel all the pain that you felt during the moment of that trauma that you couldn't process, and you process it now because now you're an adult and you have all these great tools and you have tons of support, more support than any of our ancestors or our parents or grandparents ever had, right? And all these YouTubers and, you know, people on TikTok, this is like so much support right now. You've got all the support you need to do this work, right? It's everywhere. You just pick who you resonate with. Like, you really can pick your coach, right? And then you might have like an attachment in there. You might have an entity in there, something that's been causing you to have like the same repetitive thought form over and over and over. And people see that as different things. You can, if you believe in spirits, maybe you believe that those are, bad spirits, but other people just see that as, like Carl Jung talked about, humanity having like a collective psyche. And those, angels or demons or entities or whatever, they're just like thought forms floating around in that can attach to you. And they're just like looping you on these horrible thought forms. They could be thought forms that make you think about suicide. They could be thought forms that make you think about your eating disorder. They could be thought forms that drive you to porn addiction or like alcohol addiction or drug use. And when you do the work of clearing this stuff out, that stuff starts to ease up. Like, it just does. You just find you don't need all the things you thought you did, all those things you were doing to try to self-soothe instead of cleaning up the crap. Once you clean up the crap, you don't have to self-soothe like that all the time. It's like so much lighter and easier. I can attest to it, okay? And I'm here to create content that supports you through that process. And I'm here to like cheer you on and share my own stories so that you can, achieve this. It's doable. It's absolutely doable. And it's more doable now than it ever has been at any time in history. So I'm rooting for you. And as always, like, subscribe, follow my videos for more content. Drop your comments below if you have things you want to dive into. Dive into the library as I post more and more content. You can find themes and watch those videos. And you really are going to be having access to a library of all kinds of things that support you through the process. It's really not that hard. The scariest part is just avoiding our feelings. Like, we're just afraid to feel our feelings, But once we feel them, then it's like piercing a balloon. It's like you pierce it and it was the most painful moment. You pierce it and it's like, and it's gone. And you think, why did I hold on to that for 15 years or whatever? Yeah. Okay. And I will talk to you more about this in other videos. So for now, see you in the next one, and go make a cup of tea, run a hot bath, do some self-care. See you later.